how's it been going for you? This has got to be different than anything you've done before, doing a ton of media. Have you been enjoying the process?
I'm like 75% enjoying it. Yes, I would say is the honest answer. We were going through, there's like administrivia to this process that, would probably be worse than a sharp poke in the eye. But 75% of it, and the main part of it is actually a joy. I mean, we travel this country with our family 4 days a week. At least the family comes with me. We go on, when you go on vacation, one of the things you struggle to do is to meet the locals of a place, right? The local people, to get to know the character of a place. That's actually what this whole thing is about. And we go to different small towns, communities across this country, really meet the people of that place, understand each other. And I do think, I know it may sound cheesy, but it's just true. It's been our experience that, yes, there are so many different people in different parts of this nation, from Iowa to New Hampshire to Michigan to South Carolina to Ohio, where I am now. And yet, I truly believe it, we still are one people across all of those different attributes. And so, we take this campaign bus right along with my 3-year-old son as much as we can. And it's been like a road trip across the country it's already been memorable. So we're enjoying it. The question is accomplishing the mission.
Sure. Well, that's cool. That's real cool. You get to take the little ones around with you. I'm sure that's a lot of fun. And 3 is like at that age where he actually might remember some of this later in life. Like I got some memories from 3, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've got memories from 3 too, but it seems like unbelievable to me that he wouldn't. Like I know that that's probably going to be the case. They won't remember all of it, but like when you see them soaking it up, right? Like in terms of like even when, I'm giving a speech at some barn in New Hampshire when it was a Sunday, and I'm going back to New Hampshire this evening, and there's like a bounce house in like the back of the barn where him and a bunch of other kids are playing. But then like, when me and a couple of the other people are speaking and talking about the country, like these are kids who are 3 years old. They tell the difference to like, okay, like people are listening to something going on here, come back in, and kids who rarely will pay attention when you're trying to get them to like read a nighttime storybook are dialed in. And how much are they processing about our discussion about free speech? I don't know. Probably not most of it, but they're taking something away from it. It's interesting. So we'll see when he grows up how much of this he actually remembers. But I have trouble believing that some of this isn't going to stick with him.
Yeah, well, so I got little kids like around the same age. I have a 4-year-old and a 1.5-year-old, and I think if nothing else, what he's probably processing is that his dad cares about something that's important and wants to, like talk about it with people. And even just like kind of that, understanding that in itself, I think is valuable. Okay. So you talked about accomplishing the mission. Now you have a lot going against you. You're not 85. Yeah. It seems like that's a requirement to be president these days. I'm pretty sure that's what the Constitution says. Now, of course, you're running against, you got a sitting president on the Democratic side, and you have the former president on the Republican side. So anybody running is going to have quite an uphill battle to doing this. So what is it? What made you decide you want to take this uphill battle, and you think there needs to be a different alternative to Biden versus Trump part 2?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that I did not imagine I was going to be running for president a year ago, right? I had just founded Strive that was competing against BlackRock. I'm a passionate opponent of the ESG movement. I'm a big believer in government solutions last. I believe in market solutions first. And so I did what I know how to do. I started businesses. That's how I've built my whole career. Writing books. I wrote my 3rd book earlier, actually wrote it last year, just came out earlier this year, raising 2 young kids at home. That was my life. I was called into this race because of a vacuum that I saw. The vacuum I saw was this. You look at people my age. How old are you, Dave?
I'm 40.
You're 40. So we're similar generation. I mean, we're both millennials. I'm 37. I was born in 1985. You ask people our age, what does it mean to be an American today? You get a blank stare in response. There's a vacuum of purpose and meaning and identity at the heart of our national soul. And I think even the battles that I was waging through the market, offering market alternatives to the ESG industrial complex, let's be really honest about it. It only works if there's a demand side of this, a culture that's hungering to buy up what they're selling. I think that sometimes that's overstated. A lot of this is driven top down, but there's an element of truth to that. And I wasn't going to fix that by starting another business. I did see a vacuum for someone to be able to address that by offering a vision of American national identity that dilutes a lot of this cultural poison to irrelevance. And we could debate, different people call different things the poison. Wokeism, gender ideology, climate religion, COVIDism, globalism, depression, anxiety, drug usage, suicide, whatever it is. Different people pick different poisons, but I think that each of these are just symptoms of a deeper vacuum of purpose and meaning and identity in our country. And then I look at the Republican landscape, and I think put the Democrat landscape to one side. That's a whole different beast. But look at the Republican landscape, and I see a group of people who are saying the things I've written in Woke Inc., my first book, and railing against the problem, as I'm guilty of doing for much of the last several years too, but missing the real opportunity, which is to fill that void with our own vision, a vision of affirmative American national identity grounded in our common values that dilutes the poison to irrelevance. And so I've built my business career and everything I've done in my life, even the books I've written really fit this description, is if the pack is running in one direction, I pick the other direction if I'm sure that I'm right about it, or at least I have a conviction that I'm right about it. And I see a pack in the GOP running in one direction where they're running from something. And I believe this was our opportunity, that this is our opportunity to start running to something, to an actual affirmative vision of what it means to be an American today. A vision that I don't have to reinvent. It was a vision that our founding fathers invented in 1776. And in a certain sense, they didn't even invent it. They were inheriting a tradition that came before them. But in my eyes, a vision that our founding fathers set into motion in 1776. I think we live in a 1776 moment, not a moment to play whack-a-mole for symptomatic therapy on cultural poisons that serially rise, but rather to offer an affirmative vision of our own. And all I had to do was be the vehicle to advance it. I don't have to invent this stuff. It came in 1776, but what I do need to do is to channel that to meet our current moment, and nobody else was doing it. And so that last December, at least it started, called me into this race. And I do think it takes a member of a different generation. It's not that, oh, I'm young and, healthy and therefore, and lucid, and therefore that's different than the reigning incumbents. We can debate that. But I think it might just take a member of a different generation, at least figuratively. Maybe it could be an older person, but at least mentally part of a different generation, to share a conviction that, yes, you know what, we don't have to be this decrepit nation in decline, that we might just be a nation in our ascent. And maybe folks like you and I, let's hope that our best days in our own lives are still ahead of us, maybe to see a country whose best days are still ahead of itself as well. That's what I believe. And I think I'm in this race to deliver that. But whether I succeed or not, that's in the hands of the voters of this country. My job is to make sure people know who I am and what I stand for and what I will fall for, if necessary, what I will sacrifice for. My job is in the next year to year and a half, let the country know that. And then if that's the country, if that's the person that the people want to lead them to the next phase of our national life, then so be it. I'm up for the job.